of weather that we're going to be tracking in the beginning of this video before we discuss our potential weekend storm. Where I had the two red arrows, we have a clipper system moving through the Great Lakes into the northeast, and another piece of energy down in the southeast that's leaving Texas and going into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Last week, models were suggesting that these two would have merged into a potential snowstorm on Tuesday for the Northeast, but that's not going to happen. The clipper system's moving too fast, and the southern portion is staying to the southeast. And then where I have the pink arrow, we have another clipper system that's moving southeast. That's going to be bringing snow to the Rocky Mountains through Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, into the central plains of Kansas, Nebraska, and even into Oklahoma and Texas as well. So right now we have winter weather advisories highlighted in purple wherever we see snow that's going to be happening right now and into tomorrow, which is including Colorado, Wyoming, and Kansas. If we look at the European model, we can see those three storms right now as of this afternoon. The one across the Great Lakes, the one across Texas and Louisiana, and the clipper system moving out of Montana that's going to swing down towards Colorado. Now that storm is good in the Great Lakes. That clipper is going to be bringing a general 1 to 3 inches of snow highlighted in those blues. Some areas could see 4 if there's a nice pocket of heavier snow. And then across the eastern side of the lakes, we have that lake enhancement where we could see a little bit more, about 6 to 8 inches potentially. Now, on Tuesday, we see this clipper system that was moving out of Montana has now made its way towards Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas, and we can see a narrow band set up of very heavy snow right along the border of Colorado and Kansas. And by the time we get to Wednesday, this system moves down into New Mexico and the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. And then it's going to wrap up on Thursday morning across northern Texas. So in terms of snowfall for this clipper system, again, the blues are a general 2 to 4 inches of snow, and anything that's in the purples could be 6+ inches, especially if you have that target zone of heavy precipitation on the European and Canadian models that we can see in pink. We could see maybe up to 10 inches of snow in that one specific heavy band across western portions of Kansas, depending on where that sets up. So now we're going to move on to our potential bomb cyclone for this weekend for the east coast of the United States. Now, we're looking at Friday night, which is January 29th. We're going to use the European model first, but then we're going to go and look at all three models, the European, the GFS, and the Canadian, and run a comparison. So we see that right now the European is setting up a low pressure system off the Carolinas at 1,006 millibars. We could start to see some snow Friday night, extending all the way up to the Ohio Valley, into West Virginia and Pennsylvania and New Jersey, as well as around the DC area, potentially. It all depends on where this low actually sets up. If it's in this position, you could expect these conditions. If we look at the European model at the 500 millibar level, that's the upper levels of the atmosphere, the red areas are our high pressure, our blocking ridges, and the blue is our upper level trough, our stormy weather. And right now we have this negative tilt in the upper levels of the atmosphere based on this model run, which would suggest that that low pressure system is going to strengthen. And if we look at the European GFS and Canadian models together, they're all showing a strong signal of this upper level trough, just at different levels of intensity, the European being the strongest. We also see the blocking highs that are to its northeast. That's going to potentially keep this closer to the coast instead of sliding out to sea. Now, if we look at all three models, we see that the low pressure system is located in different areas, by the time we get to Saturday morning. So let's take a zoomed in look on that. So here we see that the Canadian model on the bottom is the closest to the coast. So if that's the case, we would see more sleet and mixing along the coastline for places like the Jersey Shore, Long Island, and Cape Cod could be in all rain at that point. The European model keeps it in that sweet zone where even the coast is all snow, but it's a little bit too far out where the heaviest snow is just off the coast of southeast Long Island. And then the GFS has it somewhere in between where we're all snow along the coast, except for Cape Cod, which is rain. And that's Saturday morning, potentially on this model run. Now we get to Saturday late afternoon into the evening, and we see that the European model on the top left has become a true bomb cyclone. We started off with a 1,006 millibar low pressure system down off the Carolina coast. And in less than 24 hours, we are down to a 954 millibar low pressure system. That's equivalent to like a category 3 hurricane if this was a hurricane. So that is a strong storm. And we see that there's a lot of cold air coming down with heavy snow across Boston and Cape Cod based on the European model. The GFS has this low pressure system right over Cape Cod. So we have a lot of mixing for places along the coast, especially for Boston and into coastal Maine, Long Island, and Rhode Island. Same is said for the Canadian model on the bottom, which shows this low pressure system right over Boston at this point. So Cape Cod's all rain. Boston is freezing rain. Then we have sleet across Long Island and then west of Hartford. And then it's the heavy snow up for the Hudson River Valley and into the Green Mountains and White Mountains and mountains of Maine on the Canadian model. But where this low pressure system is, potentially being a bomb cyclone, we could see blizzard conditions as well because of the winds. Right along the coast, the European model is suggesting we could see 100 mile per hour gust from this potential very strong storm, which is equivalent to a category 2 hurricane. And that low pressure system, if it was a 954, is equivalent to a category 3. So the waves also out there would be extraordinarily high, and the storm surge would flood the coastal areas with that wind coming on shore. Now, the Canadian model and the GFS model don't have the storm as strong, but it's still a very strong storm with low pressure systems near 975, 977 millibars. So we could see gusts that are ranging around 50 to 60 miles per hour, which is still damaging, especially bringing down power lines and coastal flooding. But the European model's really taken this to the extreme. Then we see this wrapping up on Sunday, moving into the Canadian areas of Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. So what can we see in terms of snowfall totals? Well, the European model keeps it as all snow during this entire storm. So we could see along the Boston I-95 corridor and into eastern half of Long Island, the jackpot area would be right around there, showing around 33 inches of snow. Now, the GFS and Canadian models has this a little bit more inland, so we see bigger snow totals, around 42 inches, but that's because we also have the increased uplift because those totals are in the mountains. And then along the coast, we don't see as much because we have that mixing that's coming in. So we still got to track down where this storm's actually going to track. And in terms of intensity, we have the GFS and the Canadian pretty much in agreement. We need to see if the European model comes back to reality or if the GFS and the Canadian actually go the European route and say it's going to be an even stronger storm. So we'll continue to monitor this the rest of the week and pinpoint where we could see this potential storm dump the jackpot's amounts.
Some days you get sun, others lots of rain, and then sometimes you get a bomb cyclone. A bomb cyclone is a type of rapidly strengthening storm that meets one key criterion related to dropping pressure, and it's expected to develop from a system that's dumping heavy rain along the eastern seaboard this week. An unseasonably strong nor'easter had knocked out power to hundreds of thousands of households on Wednesday, and meteorologists warned the storm could go through a process called bombogenesis. That's when a storm's pressure drops at least 24 millibars in 24 hours, creating a bomb cyclone, a system characterized by extreme winds, rain, and surf. Those extreme conditions pummeled the Northeast. In Massachusetts, gusts of 90 miles per hour were recorded in Provincetown, with 70-mile-per-hour winds at Boston's Logan International Airport. The National Weather Service also confirmed record-breaking low pressure for the month of October overnight Wednesday, in areas including Boston, Providence, Rhode Island, and Concord, New Hampshire. The intense winds downed trees and utility lines across a large swath of the Northeast, causing widespread power outages.